guys, welcome back to the channel. This episode is going to be for molding the rear fiberglass to the shell of the car. I am pretty nervous about this, being completely honest. This is well outside of my comfort zone, so it's something that I've really kind of been worried about coming to film, of course. Having this on camera and not knowing what I'm doing and trying to do this all by myself at the same time. It's just a recipe for discomfort, but today I'm going to try to jump right in. I think I have a reasonable plan now going into it, so stay tuned and we'll see how it turns out. So the clearance for much wider tires, I had to go ahead and cut about 4 inches off of the outer skin here, and then the inner skin, or the inner sheet metal, which you can't see too well, I actually went through and re-welded. I had to slice everything into little pieces, fold it up, cut it off, and then weld it to the body. So what this did was it gave me a lot more clearance, because the original fender, if you could imagine, ran about right here. And if you have a tire that comes all the way out to the edge of the wide body, it's just gonna rub and it's gonna cut the tire. So I had to give myself lots and lots of clearance here. So now I can fit some meaty 315s in the rear, which will be nice and good. Since I know these edges are going to have to be sanded to get my fitment onto the car, the first thing I did was tape all the edges here and then put a second piece of tape exactly that thickness of the first piece of tape alongside of it to give me a reference line as I'm sanding, so that I can keep this profile and curve consistent all the way along the edge. If I didn't have this tape line, it would be pretty difficult once I started sanding and losing this original edge to be able to keep it consistent all the way top to bottom and front to back on this panel. So this is going to help me. This isn't really where I'm going to be sanding to. This is probably much further than I'm going to be sanding to, but this just gives me a reference point to say this was the original curve compared to the original edge of the panel. We'll see if it helps. I'm not really sure if it will, but I just feel better having it and not needing it versus needing it and not having it. Okay, that took a lot longer than I thought it would. I ended up taking quite a bit of material off the top edge of the fender just to get it to sit right where I wanted it to on the body line, so I wouldn't have to do too much filler when we come to actually smoothing over the top side after the panels have been bonded to the body. Next up, I'm gonna use these specialty fasteners. These are called Clecos. They're basically temporary rivets, and let me see if I can get in the camera here. How these work here is when you push them out, you notice how this tip gets really skinny, and then when I bring it back, it starts to get fatter. This basically lets you clamp two, it's usually used for sheet metal, but for what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use these to hold the fiberglass panel against the body so that the tape's out of the way and I can really see what I'm doing. So overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out so far. I've got all the Clecos in place now, and this is really how it's going to be sitting when the two panels are bonded together. I'm really glad I wound up taping the edges. I'm really glad I thought about that, because to get the body lines lined up appropriately, I did have to take a fair amount of material out of the fiberglass on the top and rear sides, which was a little bit of a surprise, but had I not done those reference lines of the tape, I would have been really screwed the more material I started taking off. So let's go to the other side now and get everything a match so that we're ready to start bonding. Before we go about actually bonding the panels to the shell, I've got to address a couple things in the back here. Namely, you'll see down in the end, the Swiss cheese there. None of this is actually attached, so that has to be dealt with. And then up here, there's some Mickey Mouse stuff going on over here that also needs to be dealt with, in addition to pretty much the whole bottom of this section in the steel being pretty much non-existent. So I'm going to make a couple patch panels and get it ground and welded up, and hopefully be one step closer to actually getting everything bonded.
getting under the car here, this is the driver's side, you can really see how ugly this whole section is. There's some previous repair work here. There's a lot of rot. You can see, actually, you can see light straight through the whole thing. And this is very thin, very old, original steel here. I had been making a panel that would fill effectively from here, down here, and then all around here, but there's no way I'm gonna be able to weld to this here surface. So I'm gonna kind of make a different plan. Instead of trying to fight with the welder at the lowest amperages and trying to just stick it in any way, is I'm actually gonna make a strap that's gonna cover from here down to the bottom here, because there's still a decent amount of material here. And really all I want this thing to do is to keep this from waving. I'm not going to cut all this up and put all new panels on it just to go ahead and throw the massive fiberglass flares right over top. You're not really going to see any of this anyway once the flare's on there. So I'm just going to add this strap and we'll call it good for now. Let me know in the comments what you would have done here. I'm not super proud of it, but it does get the job done of giving this a little bit of structure compared to what it had before. Let's move on. Now we're just going to transfer it over into steel. Thick, thin. Right, patch panels.
So unfortunately, this is as far back as I can get with the camera to show this view, but overall, this is the look that I was going for, and I'm pretty stoked with how things turned out. Is it perfect? No, but once we get some body filler on it and once the quarters are on there, this is gonna look pretty awesome. I'm pretty pumped. All right, let's move on. Quarters are on the car. I've been worried about this for so long. I had no reason to be. It was straightforward. It was nerve-wracking. I don't think I took a breath that whole time, but the quarters are on. They'll be fully cured in 24 hours. So I'm gonna start editing this so that I can give it to you guys. And I am so excited to keep sharing all of this with you. Thank you for watching from the bottom of my heart. I am so excited to share this build with you, and this is gonna get really cool really fast. So thank you. Please subscribe, and I will not let you down with this.